Hi there, welcome to today's workout. As always, I will give you beginner options and options for those of you who've been doing Pilates for a little while. Always work within your capabilities. Anything that feels painful, please don't do it. Take the alternatives where possible, and do reach out to us if you need any help or advice. Okay. So we are going to start off in our good posture. So bringing legs and feet together, we're going to turn out with the toes and then bring the heels in line with the toes. So our toes are facing forwards, our legs are directly underneath our hips. We're going to lift nice and tall through the spine, lifting up through the crown of your head, dropping that chin slightly to chest, and then we're going to relax the shoulders down and away from the ears, leaving the chest and the shoulders open, a little pinch between shoulder blades without pushing the chest forward too far. Then we want to make sure we've got our natural arch in our foot. So just lifting all 5 toes and carefully placing those toes back down. So we've got our natural arch and all 5 toes on the outside of the foot are in contact with the floor or the mat. We're going to lengthen up through the legs without locking out the knees. A little bit of squeeze into thigh, gentle squeeze into bottom. And then we want to find our neutral, that point where our pelvis and our hips and lower back sit in the center. So if we take a little bit of knee bend, and we're going to take a tilt back and forth with the pelvis, just finding that point that's right in the middle for you. So find your own range. So you're tucking your tailbone right under, you're sticking your bottom right out to the back, tucking the pelvis under, tilting the pelvis back. So we make it smaller and smaller each time until we find that point that's right in the center for you. So tailbone tucks under, pelvis sits in the center. We're going to lengthen back up through the legs, bringing that squeeze into thighs and into bottom. Then we want to focus on lifting through pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor muscles are a bit like a hammock shape, attaching from your pubic bone underneath to your coccyx and support your bowel and bladder. If you imagine that hammock of muscle, we want to draw that up. You can also visualize it as drawing your inner thigh up towards pelvis. As we lift through pelvic floor, we want to lift through front, middle and back. And then we're going to start to draw our tummy button in about halfway to spine, keeping a light connection through the tummy muscles. Imagine those muscles that wrap around the spine as your natural corset. We want to tighten that corset up a couple of notches. So we're pulling in from the waist, drawing in with the tummy, lifting front, middle, back of pelvic floor. Once we have that light tension, remember the shoulders are relaxed and we're standing tall. We're just going to take both arms up and overhead. And then we're going to relax the arms back down. So as we lift the arms, be conscious of the ribs. We want to keep the ribs relaxed. We don't want to be lifting and pushing forward. Ribs relaxed, pulling the ribs down, keeping that tummy connected, and then really slowing down your breath. So we're going to take a breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. So breath out through the mouth, and in through the nose. Slow the movement down to suit your breath. And any of the movements, if this feels too much, if that movement feels too big, too far overhead, just make it smaller. Don't go as far. Listen to your body, do what feels right for you. So we want to listen to our body, we want to be aware of how we're moving, which muscles are working. So shoulders are drawn down, ribs are drawn down, tummy pulling in halfway to spine. Remember that natural corset around our middle, we want to keep tightening that waist. Little squeeze into bottom and thighs, keeping that neutral position, keeping that tailbone tucked under as we move. We don't want to create an arch in that lower back, just your natural arch. Breath out through the mouth as we lift, in through the nose as we lower. Okay, we're going to add on from here. So we're going to take the arms overhead. We're going to open out to the side. We're going to bring them back overhead and relaxing down. So we take it up, we open out, we bring it back, and we relax it down. Lifting up, open out, keeping those shoulders relaxed, bring it back and bring it down. If you're not going as high, you can just open out from where you are here. Absolutely fine. Otherwise it's overhead, opening out, bringing it back, releasing it Okay, little add-on from here. So we're going to bring it up and overhead. We're going to take it out to the side. We're going to round off through the spine, chin to chest, tailbone tucking under. We're going to open out, bring it back overhead, and then release down. Then we start again. So we bring it up, we open out. We round off through spine as well. Arms open, overhead, and release it down. So we lift, we take it out, round off, open out, arms overhead, and then release it down. Lift it up, open out, round it off, open out, and arms overhead, and release it down. Just take one more, bring it overhead, arms out, round it off, open out. Now we're going to stay here again, round it off, and open out, round it off, and open out. Just lifting the chest, opening the shoulders, round it off, and open out. So as we go from that rounded position, as we come back nice and tall, just making sure your bottom tucks under, tailbone is in neutral, rounding off, open out. Shoulders should feel a little bit warm, feel like they're working, rounding off. As we open out, keeping the ribs relaxed. One more, rounding off, and then open out. We're going to take it all the way down. Take 3 shoulder rolls. Shoulders should feel a little bit achy as we stop here. So we're going to come back to our good posture, just resetting. We're going to take a reach down one side of the body, back to center, down the other side of the body and back to center. So we can keep this nice and small. Listen to your body again, do what feels right for you. Gentle stretch into your side, it shouldn't be a pull. If you want a little more, we're going to start to stretch away. Bring it to center, stretch away, bring it to center. So the eye gaze can follow the hand. Stretching away, bringing it to center. Stretching away, bring it to center. Breath out as we stretch out, in as we come back in. Stretch away, breath out, breath in as we come back in. One more, making us even both sides. And then release, just bring the shoulders back to relax. We're going to step the legs out wide, slight turn out through the feet. As we bend into knees, the knees are going to travel towards the toes, and we're going to press down through the whole foot. So pushing down through the feet. Again, if we need to keep this knee bend smaller, we can. The lower you go, the harder it's going to be. If you can, really push it down and encourage the knees towards the toes. Feeling that work through the inner thigh. As we draw back up to the top, we're drawing up with the thighs, little squeeze into bottom. Remember that lift of pelvic floor, we're zipping up, lifting that hammock of muscle. Good, so optional arms. They come across the body, up and out, circle from the shoulder, across the body, and then up and out. Across, and up and out. So slowing your breath right down. We're going to take a breath in and breath out. Breath in and breath out. Breath in, breath out. Good. Really focus on the breath. Fill up the lungs. Although the shoulders are working, arms are relaxed. And then really drawing up through the thighs, squeezing into bottom as we pull up to the top. Pressing those feet into the floor to activate the lower legs as we come down. Okay, 2 more here. Keep drawing in with tummy, lifting through pelvic floor. Okay, release, relax. Again, just relax the shoulders, step the legs back underneath the hips. We're going to come back into our good posture. If you need a chair or the wall for balance, please use that. Otherwise, we're going to do this freestanding. So, right knee lifts. We lift and we lower. We're going to find our balance on that left leg. Use that thigh, use that squeeze into bottom to keep you really still and steady. The deep core muscles are also going to help us to stabilize. So we're pulling in with that tummy, we're tightening that natural corset, a little squeeze into bottom and a gentle lift of pelvic floor. Allowing your breath to flow. And you can see as I lift and lower, I'm not shifting side to side. I'm really keeping that in the center, light tap down with that right foot. So you should be feeling that left leg work as well. Arms are staying relaxed. So do what you can. If at any point you really start to feel an intense ankle burner that gets too much on that leg that you're standing on, rest and shake out, join back in when you're ready. If you feel you can continue, we're going to lift, stretch away, pull back, bring it down. Lift, stretch away, pull back, bring that down. So leg muscles should be starting to feel a little bit warm, a little bit of an ache. Optional arms now, and they are optional, you can leave them relaxed. We lift, open out, pull back, bring it down. Lift, open out, pull back, bring it down. And again, spine stays nice and tall. We're not shifting back, we're not leaning back, we're not leaning forwards. We're keeping everything still and steady, apart from the arms and the leg that is moving. Good. Allowing your breath to flow. Every now and then, just rechecking that tummy pulls in, pelvic floor lifts. We're going to aim for 4 more if you can. Nice and slowly, really control it, find that balance. Good. Brilliant, well done, relax. Pressing through the feet, just releasing the legs. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So we want to settle back into our good posture, find your good feet position, nice and tall, tucking under to neutral, left leg this time. So just finding your balance. If you need the chair or need the wall, use that. Allowing that breath to flow. So whenever we challenge the balance, we get the really deep tummy and back muscles, our core muscles, our stabilizing muscles to kick in. And this is really important to strengthen those muscles just for day-to-day activities or to stop you falling. Stop you getting injured when you're doing day-to-day things. Good, so just allowing the breath to flow. Lift and lower gently with that leg. Just a gentle tap down with the foot so we're not shifting the body weight from side to side. We're keeping that still and steady in the center. So adding on if you can, we're going to lift, extend the leg, pull back, lower down. Lift, extend the leg, pull back and lower down. Good. Remember, a little bit of squeeze into that leg you're standing on, that supporting leg. 5 squeezes, bottom squeezes. So optional arms, same as before, we lift with the leg, we open out with the leg, pull it back, relax it down. So we lift, extend, pull back, relax it down. Lift, extend, pull back, and relax it down. Good. Keeping it really tall, keeping that spine in the center so we're not leaning back, we're not leaning forwards. Aiming for 4 more if you can. Remember, if you desperately need to shake out, please do. Okay, almost there, keeping shoulders nice and relaxed as we move. Good, release, relax the shoulders, gently pressing through the feet, just releasing those legs. Okay, so we're going to start to get the spine moving. So coming back into our good posture, tucking under to our neutral position. The arms are going to stretch up and overhead if you can. If you can't start here, you can start here or you can start with the arms relaxed. So whichever position you're starting in, tuck that tailbone under. Zip up, start to set the core. We're going to take the arms all the way down. Chin towards the chest, shoulders rolling forwards. Little bit of knee bend as we make our way down through the spine. So we're rolling it down, backbone by backbone. Just find that point that works for you. You don't have to come as low as I'm coming here. What I'm looking for is for you to maintain that nice C shape through the spine. So as we come back up, stacking one backbone on top of the other, tailbone tucking under, shoulders lift up. We're coming back to that good posture, stretching nice into overhead. So you're coming back into good posture, back into neutral, reset, and then you're ready to go again. So arms are coming down, chin towards the chest, shoulders rolling forwards, working down through the spine, backbone by backbone. Bring it as low as you feel you can. And then unraveling back up, stacking it up bit by bit. Core muscles are set, pelvic floor lifted. So if you've got any pain or discomfort through your spine, you can try making this smaller. So you can just go with literally chin towards chest, maybe shoulders rolling, and then open the shoulders out and lift through the spine again, if that feels enough. Just find that point that really works for you. If the actual rounding of the spine feels too tough, we can go back to what we were doing earlier. Just standing tall, rounding off as much as you can, and then opening the chest. So there's your option if the roll down doesn't feel right for you. If you're going for the roll down, I have two options for you. So you can stay as you are with the roll down and rolling back up again. Otherwise, we're going to add in a leg stretch. So we take the arms down as we did before, chin towards chest, shoulders roll, working our way down through the spine, backbone by backbone. We're going to take a slight knee bend and walk the hands out just in front of the shoulders. We press back to make a triangle shape. Bottom nice and high, lengthen through the arms, lengthen through the spine, through the legs. Encourage those heels to press down towards your mat. We're going to take the knees to the floor, hands walking back towards your knees, up onto your feet, find your balance, and we roll it back up through the spine. Use a bit more knee bend here if you need to, because we're working from the floor. So at the top, taking a stretch through, nice and tall, into your good posture, into neutral. Arms coming down, chin towards your chest, rolling down through the spine. Hands are walking forward to our leg stretch. Pressing back, and remember, if you struggle with wrists or weight bearing onto arms, you can stick with your roll down and back up again. You don't have to add this leg stretch in. Hold in here. As you come to all fours, back stays nice and long, knees come down. Hands walk towards the knees, up onto your feet, and take your time. So as you're working through, I just want you to allow your breath to flow in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth. Really relax into that movement, get a real good stretch. Release any tension as you stretch it out. Ironing out any kinks in that spine, any parts that are a bit stuck and fixed. Hands walking forward into our leg stretch. And then we bring in the knees down. You can relax the feet at this point as we walk it back and roll up. So continue in the way that you are now if that feels enough for you. Those of you who want a little more, just a slight add-on to make this a bit more challenging. So same as before, we take our roll down. Rolling through the spine, coming out to leg stretch. So instead of coming forward to your knees, we can come forward to plank. So we're in a nice long position. Do adjust the hands if you need to. We want to tuck under with that tailbone, little squeeze into bottom, pressing through the palms of the hands as if we're pushing the floor away from us. So chest and shoulders are strong. Holding for a few seconds. We're going to take it back to leg stretch. Again, you might have to adjust the hands, walking back slightly. And then as we did before, with a slight knee bend, walking the hands back, and and rolling up through the spine. So you're just adding in from leg stretch that movement to plank, and then back into leg stretch before walking back. So again, we've got that roll down. Walking forward to leg stretch, holding here for a few seconds. Forward to all fours or plank. If you're on all fours, you're going to walk it back and roll up from here. Plank, you can hold for a few seconds, just making sure we're working the correct muscles, so pressing through hands, tummy pulling in halfway to spine, tuck under with that tailbone, a little bit of squeeze. Back to leg stretch, and then a little bit of knee bend to walk us back to roll it up. We're going to go with one more, whichever option you're going for. And remember, if you're still going with your roll up and your roll back down without adding on any of the weight bearing through the upper body, that's absolutely fine. Do what feels right for you today. So full option again, we roll down. Keep your breath flowing, walking forward to our leg stretch. Forward to our plank. Nice and long through the body, tailbone tucking under. Remember, if your knees are coming down, you're walking back from here, or we press back to leg stretch. Slight knee bend to make the transition, walking back easier, and rolling up through the spine. Stretching through at the top, finding that neutral position. Okay, on this last one, we're going to stay down. So whether you're just rolling down or you're coming onto your knees or you're working through your plank, we're going to stay down. We're not going to do that last roll back up. So just finishing up here, leg stretch, plank or all fours. If you're in plank, we're going to bring those knees down and we're going to sit back, bottom towards the heels, reaching forward with the arms. Let your back lengthen, shoulders drawing down and away from the ears. Bottom as close to heels as you can. Any issues with shoulders, we can bring the arms slightly closer. Just breathing here, catching your breath, stretching through the spine. From here, we're going to come forward to all fours, arms under shoulders, legs under hips. Rounding off through your back, chin towards chest, tailbone tucking under. If you can't weight there on the wrist or on the knees, come around so that you're seated. And we're going to reach towards the ankle. So you're rounding off through your back. You're tucking your tailbone under. Holding that cat stretch. Okay, release. We're going to come around onto our back. Just setting yourself up back into that good posture again. So if you bring your legs and feet together, we're going to turn the toes out and we're going to bring the heels in line with the toes. Toes, knees and hips are in alignment. We're going to tuck under, find that neutral. So like we did in standing, just taking a tilt of the pelvis back and forth, finding that point that's right in the middle for you. We should end up with lower back lightly pressed into the floor. We're going to imagine we're drawing inner thigh up towards pelvis to lift through pelvic floor. Tummy button pulling in halfway to spine to step through those deep tummy muscles and tightening that natural corset, tightening that waist. Once we've got that light tension, we're going to take a little bit of squeeze into bottom and we're just going to slide one leg away. We're going to pull that leg back into start position and then we're going to slide away with the other leg. Now, if you're not sliding very easily on the floor that you're working on, just lift the foot ever so slightly. We don't want it too much. You want to try and keep the foot in contact with the floor. Now, as we push away and pull back, we want to be conscious of what's happening with the ribs. So ribs are staying pulled down and relaxed. If it helps, you can take hands onto the ribs to see what's happening there. And once you're confident that the ribs are staying down, we can relax our arms back by our side. We're going to keep hips, pelvis and lower back really still and steady. So that lift of pelvic floor, that tightening of tummy should help us maintain any rocking, any moving of hips, pelvis or lower back. Now we breathe out as we stretch the leg out and we breathe in as we bring the leg back in. Now arms can stay relaxed, or we're going to bring the arms just above the chest. And we're going to take the opposite arm to leg overhead as the leg stretches away, and it pulls back as the leg pulls back. Then the other arm, opposite arm to leg. So once we add the arm, it's even harder to keep the ribs down and the tummy pulled in. We want to be conscious of pulling that tummy in, and lower back lightly presses into your mats. The further overhead you go with the arm, the harder it is to keep this position in the ribs and in the back. So if your ribs are flaring or your back is arching, bring the arm back a little bit, make it smaller. So a bit of trial and error. See how it feels going with a small movement first, and then gradually making that movement bigger to see if we can still control it. We can always rein it back in. If this feels really, really easy, I'm going to give you a harder version. Those of you who feel okay with this version, carry on. Work to fatigue. Work to that point where you're feeling those muscles really start to ache or burn where they're working, or maybe you're not able to control the ribs or the back as you begin to get tired. Rest at that point, come back, reset and go again. Those of you who want more challenge, knees in towards the chest. We're going to tuck under with our bottom, so we're in neutral. We've changed position, so we just need to change our neutral position as well, just adjust it slightly. So with or without arms, opposite arm to leg, the leg stretches long and drops slightly, then it pulls back in towards chest. The other leg and the opposite arm go this time, and we pull back to center. We stretch it long, and we pull back to center. Breath out as we stretch out, in as we bring that back in. Really pulling those ribs down, pulling that tummy in halfway to spine. If you're working without the arms can stay relaxed at your side. You can even hug in with the leg if you wanted to. So the lower you take the leg, the harder this is going to be. So for more challenge, we can take the leg lower. Really be aware of that lower back position. We don't want to be shifting through lower back, hips or pelvis. So breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in. Again, working to fatigue, working to that point where you're feeling that intense ache or burn through the muscles, and then we can bring the feet down one by one and just have a little stretch through when you need a break. We're going to go for one more set, so adjust to suit. If you were going for the harder one but feel you want to bring it down for the last set, then you can. So just a reminder again, we've got the legs slide. With or without the arms, we can just focus on the legs if you wish. Those of you going for harder version, knees in towards chest, tucking under with that tailbone. And then we stretch away with the leg, let it lower slightly. It doesn't have to lower a lot. The lower you go, the harder it's going to be. So breath out as we stretch out. In as we come back in. Are we still lifting through pelvic floor? Are we still pulling the ribs down? Is lower back still lightly pressed into your mat? If we're starting to lose that as we get tired, rest. The muscles have had enough. So once you're there, taking the feet to the floor one by one, stretching the legs away. If it's comfortable for you, stretching the arms overhead. Just relaxing here. Once you're here, taking a few nice deep breaths. So we're going to bring the feet back to the floor, same position, readjust the feet so that the legs are hip width apart, readjust your neutral, single leg or double leg. So single leg, we're going to hug in with one leg, we're going to extend up as fully as we can from there. Get this leg as straight as possible so we're working into the back of the thigh, the hamstrings. Feet remain quite relaxed. We're going to lower that leg so it's a couple of inches from the floor, and then you're going to lift back up and gently ease in towards you. Don't let your bottom lift. Bottom stays heavy on your mat. So we lower and lift. If you're going to stick with this single leg version, we're going to go for 12 on one side and then we're going to swap legs and go for 12 on the other side. You're going to rest and then repeat. Those of you who want a little more, both knees in towards your chest. As we did earlier, tucking under with the tailbone and extending both legs as fully as you can. As you hold on to one, you're going to let the other leg lower to a point where you're able to maintain the position of your back and maintain that pulling in of tummy towards spine. So we lower with one and we lower with the other. You're bringing it to the top before you switch. If you're quite tight in the back of the legs, you can add a little bit of knee bend, no problem. So breath out as we come out, in as we bring that back in. And if this feels too much on your back, having both legs lifted, I want you to go back to taking one foot on the floor for me. So 12 on each side if you're going one foot on the floor. Aim for at least 12 of these, one and then the other if you're going double leg. You can go beyond that if you feel that you can. Be aware of your muscles. Try and aim for that work to fatigue, that ache or burn. And then you can rest by hugging both knees back in towards the chest and just taking a little rock from side to side. You can do this one leg at a time if that's better for you. Okay. So you're going to come back and repeat the same again. We can make this slightly harder if you want to. So if you're here, head and shoulders can lift up. We're scooping out. We're making a C curve position. Reaching slightly higher up the leg. Some of you may prefer this if you're a little bit stronger in the tummy. Whenever we work with head and shoulders lifted, we don't want tension in the neck. So the strength should be coming from your tummy and not your neck. If it's hurting your neck, bring your head back down. You can use a rolled up mat or a block if you have one. And we can also make this slightly harder by speeding up the transition. So as one leg starts to come in, the other starts to come down. So we switch from one to the other, reaching nice and long with the legs. Neck and shoulders relaxed, tummy pulling in halfway to spine, lower back lightly pressing into your mats. Keep your breath flowing if you're going for this harder movement. So the breath flows with the movement. Once you've worked to fatigue, you've done at least 12. You've done your 12 on each side if you're going single leg. We're going to rest. And just take a little rock from side to side, just releasing any tension in your back, in your tummy, catching your breath. Okay, so taking the feet to the floor, we're going to come onto our side. Setting yourself up with your body in one long line. If you have a mat, use the back of your mat. So body is long, top hip sits above bottom hip. If you feel a bit unsteady or uncomfortable on your hip, try tucking back with the lower leg, makes it slightly easier. Both legs long for more challenge, and we're simply going to lift and lower with the top leg. So feet can be quite relaxed, you don't have to overpoint or overflex. Think length through the body, length through the leg, like we're trying to reach to the end of the room. So we're mainly working lower body here, but we always work with our core. So this hand in front is assisting us, but it's not doing most of the work. Your core muscles are doing most of the work. So we're going to guide in with that tummy, tighten that belt. Squeeze into your glute muscles, the muscles in your bottom. Squeeze into your thighs. So even though the lower leg isn't doing any movement, it's still working. Good. Breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. Now we want to keep this going until we're feeling that intense ache or burn through those muscles. So into thigh, into bottom, maybe around the hip. Once you need a rest, and everyone's going to reach that at a different point, bring the leg forward, let those muscles relax. Then we're going to bring it back and we're going to repeat again. If you want to make this harder, lower leg can lift and then top leg lifts and lowers. So you hold and hover with that lower leg and then the top leg lifts and lowers. Remember that natural corset. We want to keep tightening that belt. Good. Remember, you can relax the head down if you're more comfortable. You can use a towel underneath the head. Good, really squeezing into your bottom. Tightening that waist. When you can't do any more, that leg comes over in front, let it release, let it stretch. Okay, stay on that same side. We're just going to lie on our side. You can use a rolled up towel or a small cushion underneath your head if you want to, just to make your head more comfortable. One arm stacked on top of the other, one leg stacked on top of the other. We're going to keep the hips still and move from the waist up. Top arm is going to come out to the back behind you. Open the chest, open the shoulder, and see how close you can get to the floor behind you there. Then we're going to pull the arm back, nice and gently, head rolls with it if possible. Breath out as we open out. Let the head roll. If you can't take the head too far, it makes you feel dizzy, then leave the head behind. Just focus on opening the arm and then bringing it back to close. So we're going to take a breath out as we open out. Breath in as we bring that back in. So we're getting a nice stretch across the chest into the arm. We're mobilizing the upper part of the spine. Releasing any tight muscles. So muscles that get tight when you're driving a lot or sitting at a desk. Okay, we're going to take one more here. Really open out. Hold it for a few seconds longer to let that stretch settle in. And then bring it together to close. Let that relax. We're going to come up carefully and onto our other side. So again, set up your good alignment. Head onto arm or into hand, or use that block or towel. Let's get ourselves nice and long, top hip above bottom hip. Remember, you have the option to tuck that lower leg back. And then top leg lifts and lowers. Slightly harder with both legs long. So again, start to think about those muscles you're working here. So we're squeezing into our thigh, we're squeezing into bottom. We lift through pelvic floor and we pull tummy halfway to spine. Imagine that natural corset around your middle tightening up. So we're working those deep tummy back and stabilizing muscles. Breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. Keep it going until you're hitting that intense ache or burn. Fingertips just gently in front to assist you. We don't want to rely on that hand too much. Okay, remember when you need that break, that top leg is going to come forward. Let those muscles release. When we come back, if you want to make that harder, the bottom leg can lift up and away from the floor. Really let those legs lengthen. Remember, the feet can be quite relaxed. You don't have to overpoint or overflex. I want you to every now and then bring your attention back to that lift of pelvic floor and that tightening of tummy. Good, keep it going. The ache should be setting in. When you really can't do any more, that top leg comes over in front. Let it relax. Well done. So when you're ready, staying on that same side, arms are stacked, head relaxed. Ideally, if you can get the head in line with the rest of the spine, even better. Top arm is going to open out. We're leaving the legs and the hips nice and still. As we open out to the back, letting the head follow the hand. And then slowly bringing that to close. Breath out as we open out to the back. And breath in as we bring that to close. Remember, you can leave your head forward if it feels too much. Rolling the head back, you can just go with the arm. You should still feel that stretch. Taking your time, no rush. Feel that stretch settle in. Remember, we're still set for our core, we're still protecting our spine as we move. Mobilizing that mid to upper back. Stretching out those postural muscles. Across the chest, across the upper back, into the shoulders. We're going to take one more. Holding that out here for a few extra seconds. Really feel that stretch settle in. And then slowly bringing that to close. And then coming onto your back. Last exercise before we stretch out. So if you're okay with both knees in towards your chest, we're going to bring it in. We're going to tuck under with that tailbone. Head can stay down. You can use your towel or your rolled up towel or your block. Otherwise, we can lift up. So we're making a C shape here. One leg hugs in as the other leg stretches long. And then we switch that over. Now you're aiming for about mid-height. This leg doesn't have to go too low. And if this feels a bit much in your back, try taking the leg slightly higher. So you're aiming up towards the ceiling. One breath per movement. So as you change the leg, change the breath. Now, if this really feels to start too much in that lower back, bearing in mind we want to keep tummy pulling in and lower back pressing down, we can take the one foot down and we're just going to work that same movement with the one leg. And I would do, or aim for 12 on each side. Otherwise, we're here, either with the head down, head supported with block, pillow or towel. Here for full version. Remember, when we lifted with head and shoulders, there should be no tension in the neck. If that's happening, head coming down. Slightly higher with the legs if it's the lower back that is an issue. Keep guiding that lower tummy in. We're going to work to fatigue, so work into that intense ache or burn through the muscles. It might be your thighs with this one, it might be hips, it might even be tummy. Keep guiding those ribs down. Resting when you need to. You can take feet to the floor if you want to. And then coming back for one last set. So again, just find your ideal version. So foot to floor, legs up high, legs mid-height, head lifted or head down. Think about the length of that leg. We really want to lengthen away, stretch it away. Lengthen those muscles as you strengthen them. Keep guiding in with tummy halfway to spine. If that tension starts to creep in the neck, just bringing the head down, tucking chin slightly to chest. When you can't do any more, again, we can hug in, or we can simply take the feet to the floor, let the back and the tummy release. So let's bring our knees in towards chest if possible. You could do this one knee at a time if need be. Both knees in towards chest, hands onto the knees, and we're just going to circle the legs around. And you're just going to go 5 in one direction, allowing your back and your hips to roll with it, and then you're going to reverse it, go 5 in the other direction. If you're working one leg at a time, we can just gently do the same one leg at a time. Just slowing your breath down, breathing in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth. Okay, so staying on your back, we're going to take both feet to the floor, legs hip width apart. We're going to hug in with the right leg and extend that leg up as fully as you can from here, feeling that stretch in the back of the leg. If you need to keep a little bit of knee bend, that's absolutely fine. Just go as far as you can, as long as we're feeling that stretch in the back of the thigh. If you want a little more, head and shoulders lift, we walk the hands up the leg slightly and ease that leg back towards you, feeling that stretch increase. You can, if it feels good for you, stretch long with the other leg. Let it hold and hover just above the floor. If there's any issues through back or hip, go back to that foot down for me. Same with the neck. If the neck feels tense, take the head down. Okay, so foot comes down now. We bend into the knee to release, and then we're going to take that on the other side. So hugging the leg in, extending up as fully as you can. Hold and breathe. Really feel that stretch settle in. For more, we can walk the hands up towards the back of the leg. Optional stretch of that other leg. Keeping the shoulders, the neck, the jaw relaxed. Feel that nice stretch settle in. And release, taking the foot down to the floor, release the leg. Swapping legs again, we're going to take one leg across the other. Push away and open out from the hip. Now you can stay here or hug underneath the back of the other leg. Try and keep your shoulders and your neck relaxed. If you have a chair nearby, you can place this foot here, the one underneath, onto a chair if that assists you. And we're feeling the stretch in the back of the thigh, around the back of the hip into bottom. Breathe and hold. Release, taking both feet to the floor, swap it over. So left across right. Push away to open the hip or hug in to increase that stretch. Placing this foot here onto a chair if you need to. A few nice deep breaths, settle in. And release, taking both feet down. Bring the knees in towards your chest one by one if you can. Tuck under tailbone to find neutral. Keep your feet on the floor if this doesn't suit. Your arms are going to come out in line with shoulders either side of you. Shoulders are relaxed. Palms can be up or down, wherever you're comfortable. Gently take the knees over to the right side, and we're going to take them down as close to the floor as you can. You can use your rolled up towel or your cushion underneath this lowest leg if you feel like you're kind of hovering, if you're really tight here. We should feel that in the far side of your back, maybe into hip and into bottom. For more, we can lift this top leg up towards the shoulder, opposite hand to the outside of that leg, gently pressing down. So we feel that stretch increasing here. A few nice deep breaths as you hold. And we're going to bring the legs back together, tighten through your tummy to take that up and over to the other side. Remember, feet can be on the floor, and then we can take it over from here. If you want more, top knee up towards the chest, opposite hand to the outside of that leg, gently pressing down. Aim to keep this shoulder as close to the floor as you can. We don't want to lift off. Okay, release, bringing legs together, pull it to the center. Come around onto your front. If you're not comfortable on your front, you can be on your side and you want to work with the top leg first. So heel towards bottom, grabbing that foot if you can, gently easing that leg down. Encourage your hip to gently press towards the floor so we feel that in the front of the thigh. If you can't reach the foot, don't worry, just take it as far as you can, don't force it. A few deep breaths here, feel that stretch in the quads at the front of the thigh. And then switching legs, swapping over. Encourage that hip to gently press towards the mat. Okay, let that release. Bring yourself back, bottom towards your heels. Reaching forward with the arms, let the arms and the spine lengthen into your child's pose. Just hold in here for me. Stretching right through to the fingertips. Bringing that forward to all fours, or remember the seated position we did at the start. Arms under the shoulders, legs under the hips, rounding off through the spine, chin towards the chest, tailbone tucking under, holding that cat stretch. Release and gently taking that the other way. Little lift of the head, gentle dip of the back. And again, rounding off. Holding here. Now you can hold in cat stretch, or we move to leg stretch. Hands step forward, toes tuck under. We lift up and we press back, bottom high. Lengthen the spine, lengthen the legs. Ease the heels towards the mat. Coming forward, bringing your knees to the floor, let the feet relax. Walk the hands back towards your knees, come up onto your feet and roll it up through the spine. Backbone by backbone. Taking a stretch up and overhead with the arms. Releasing the arms, bringing hands into lower back, lift through the chest, squeeze between the shoulder blades. You can interlock the fingers for a little bit more. Okay, let those shoulders relax. We're just bringing it back to good posture to finish. Standing tall, tucking under. Shoulders are released and relaxed. Deep full breath in, arms stretching overhead. And releasing that breath. Again, taking a breath in, fill up the lungs. And releasing that breath fully with any tension that your body is holding on to. Again, breath in. And releasing that breath. Rolling the shoulders 3 times. And give yourselves a little clap. Well done, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.